When I was 5, my parents got a divorce, and I felt from a young age that I had to make sure everybody felt okay. But that ultimately led to making sure that everyone was okay when I wasn't okay. And so I started using drugs and alcohol around the age of 13, off and on, and I didn't know how to stop. All of that led to me falling into prostitution and dealing drugs and doing everything that I said I would never do when I was a little girl. But because of the trauma and the pain and not knowing how to ask for help, not knowing how to share my feelings with people, led to my life of an off and on addiction until I was 29 years old. One day in July of 2012, I was laying on my dad's couch feeling the saddest I'd ever felt, the loneliest I'd ever felt. My body was shutting down from all of the drug and alcohol use. And I remember laying there yelling like, God, if you don't do something, I'm going to die. And it was the very next day that my older sister, she called and I confessed everything. And it was 3 days later that I was in a faith-based treatment center in North Portland. And that's how I got saved and got sober. And I've been sober ever since July 2012.
There's people in recovery and you wouldn't know it. And in the church, there's generally not space to come forward and say, hey, like I either am desiring to stop using drugs or alcohol, or I have, and I just need people around me who like identify with that. And so the Bridgetown recovery community started out of the inspiration that God gave me for like helping those within his church to like find belonging and find a place within the walls of the church where we could be known and know each other in a deeper level. And that is like safety for people in recovery.
We've discussed stuff within the Bridgetown recovery community that touch on super deep and dark topics. We've been extremely vulnerable and extremely honest with each other and about the nature of how we came up, the types of ways we abused our bodies, the way that we abuse other people within our addiction. I think that we've brushed on topics that I've almost never even heard get touched on in just a traditional AA meeting, because we're all followers of Christ, so we all know that we're forgiven. When you allow Jesus in all the way in, like who could heal us the deepest but our Father, right?
I think one of the big values that the recovery community holds is like this admission of like being broken as a starting place. We have to be able to admit in the church that we haven't arrived. And so I think that like that is a huge principle that we all share and come around a table together with this like starting place of like, yeah, we're really broken and that's okay here. And that actually is something Jesus loves to use and transform, and like his power is actually made perfect through that.
One thing about this being a part of Bridgetown recovery group, right, where you're talking about vulnerability, it's been really cool to see how that's played out in the other areas of my life outside of Bridgetown recovery group, like at work or with family or in my personal relationships. Like you have this community group for our own sobriety and our own vulnerability, but it also turns in a sense sort of as a ministry and encouragement to the outside world.
When I finally was able to come out and say, I have a problem, I was able to just open my heart and open their hearts to just accepting me for all of these things that I've done. And it wasn't until that I could do that I actually was able to experience the love of family, community, and from Jesus all in that time. So I don't think it matters who you are. Like it just, if you're able to be open and honest with anybody that you have a relationship with, you can experience that healing and open up the doors for them to also become vulnerable and get healing if that's what the other people in your life need to.